Everything's coming up to Timberwolves. Yeah, in the zone. Simple dedication to the team when you're in the know. To Timberwolves. Yeah, in the soul. Lifting all the positivity for the Wolves to grow. So, where we going from here, man? We listen week to week to get the clearest to clear. Recaps, got that. Soundcap, got that. Team ads, got that. So tell me what they do not have, huh? Foolish question to ask, but I don't mean to go brag. But boy, they got all the stats, and they could go all the way back from KG to Zerbiak. And all I'm saying is that the cast a one-stop shot for my Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Ain't a thing falling, everything's coming up. Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Falling from the autumn, ain't nobody gonna stop him. It's the Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Phonies, you can spot them, they the sheep under their clothes. Timberwolves. Timberwolves. Talk a lot about them, y'all don't really know. Let's go.
Welcome into another Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. My name is Gabe Anderson. I'm joined as always by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
Oh man, couldn't be better. Playoff basketball, Timberwolves. Man, who's better than us?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one thing I did want to mention before we start the show, in the 15 or 16 years since 2004, before we started the podcast, the Wolves made one playoff appearance. In the 3 years since, they've made it twice. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So,
I mean, what can you do? We're the reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not Ant, it's not Cat, it's not D'Lo. It's local coverage. And really, I think in general,
I think so.
Wolves hype, like you're seeing tons of more podcasts about it. The Score North guys are getting. Usually, Score North is all about like hockey and stuff like that. They're talking about it. You hear K-Fan talking about the Wolves as well. And I think this city's hyped for it right now.
It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest, how bad the basketball coverage locally is. I understand that the NFL is like the 800-pound gorilla in the room and they're, powerful and all that. But, I mean, we've had multiple like number one recruits in the nation come from here. Like it's a hoops area, bunch of like top 10 draft picks and stuff. Like it's crazy that it's so poorly covered in our market, but whatever. They just got to tune in to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're the puzzle piece that doesn't fit everything else. Now, obviously let's start about it. Timberwolves destroy the Thunder in the play-in game. Really, I mean, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of times this year where you feel like, okay, the Wolves should go out, not necessarily destroy a team, but should take care of business. And really, from the word go, they took care of the Thunder on Friday night. And it was nice to see.
Yeah, the Thunder had to be pretty disappointed to line up with us because we were a pretty bad matchup for them. They're being so small.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, they've got some size like in their guards play, but their bigs are so small. And then, we're so big. Like it was just a really bad matchup. I mean, there's a lot of just like bully ball and basically just I'm taller than you kind of ball that happened. That was really in our advantage. But adding Chet will probably help them next year for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is all bonus for the Thunder. Like this was not their timeline.
Right.
And even if they had Chet, I don't think this would be their timeline either. Like they are building for the future. They got tons of draft picks coming. So yeah, they are absolutely building for the future, and they should be fine.
Yeah.
5
years away, maybe.
I don't know. I think 2 or 3, to be honest. I mean, Josh Giddey's only going to get better, although he did not show up in that game. Is my mic making a weird noise, or is that coming from the other end?
I don't know. You seem fine to me. A couple years before they're like contenders, you're talking, or just a playoff bound?
I think they could be contenders pretty quick with all the draft picks that they got coming up. I really do.
If they hit.
Yeah, if they hit. That's true. That's a big part about it going forward. But let's talk Wolves. Karl Anthony Towns had an amazing game. Rudy Gobert sucked in the first half, but then the second half absolutely dominated. And then Ant kind of does what Ant does. He kind of has a streaky time. He particularly that one where he hit the layup, got the steal, and then hit the three. That was a huge moment. And then we just took over from there.
Yeah, it was great to see. Rudy in the first kind of seemed like that back was
I
really
think so.
bad. Like it felt like he couldn't jump. Like there's tons of like, he likes to dunk. I mean, we're not breaking news here. And he thunders him down. I mean, big, high, one-handed slams, big, like hang on the rim, two-handed dunks. And in the first half, he was like, like could it seemed like he could hardly get over the rim. So I don't know what that was about, but he definitely figured it out. And I hope that if it was his back, I hope that that's as close to 100% as it can be, because this series is going to be a battle.
Yeah, and let's go into this series. Wolves, Denver at full strength. Us obviously without Nas,
McDaniels
and Nas. Rudy is questionable for tonight, but I would imagine he'll stick it out, particularly since we don't play till Wednesday. But yeah, what's going to be the key to this matchup, and what kind of player matchups are you looking at?
It's going to be tough, man. I think we're going to do a lot of. It's going to be interesting to see how we defend. First off, is how we defend Jokic, and if that changes game to game, just to kind of give him something to think about. But in the past, we would have like a smaller center defend him and not even double. We would strictly just man up him, and almost maybe some of that principles where it's like, okay, well, we'll let him go off and try to hold the other guys. And in that not doubling, it kind of seemed to mess with his game. And I was looking, and he never had, I think his biggest game versus us was like 24 points or something like that all year. And that the best game he had, yeah, and that was versus Gobert when Gobert was there. I think he had maybe like a 30-point game when Gobert and Towns were both gone. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting. What we're going to need to do is not let one of their like scrubs go off. Like we don't need Caldwell Pope or whatever. We don't need him going for 30, or like some guy off the bench dropping in like 25. Like we need to hold the bench guys to their average or below. And we're going to need one of our guys to step up. I mean, we've got like a 7-man rotation right now. We're going to need to stay out of foul trouble. We're going to need, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns to average 50 combined a game. Like it's going to be, it's not, it's again, not a hot take when you're going 8 versus 1 that we're going to need almost a perfect game to win, but it's not impossible.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Though the one thing, now obviously I think this was a fluke, but I went to a game earlier this year where the Wolves were severely disadvantaged. I don't think they had Cat, and they had Ant, but they didn't have Gobert or a lot of their starters, and it was at home, and they played all the Nuggets starters, and they ended up winning. So, I mean, anything can happen. I think that was kind of a fluke game. But
I mean, when shots fall, anyone can win. Like people always, like we said last week, it's a make 'em miss 'em league. If a team's making shots, they've got a shot, they've got a chance. And it's going to be fun. I mean, that's why it's fun that it's a 7-game series. That you could have some bad games and still pull it out.
Absolutely, yeah. And like you were talking about, we gotta avoid the other guys going off on the backups. Like, for example, like a Bruce Brown, who's someone I think scores about 33% of their bench points, which is, I think, a lot of the reason that they let Bones Highland go in the offseason or at trade deadline, because Bruce Brown was doing so much off the bench. Also, there was some controversy there going forward. I mean, Jeff, their bench doesn't scare me too much. I mean, Green, I mean, he's been around forever. Christian Brown. I don't know if it's Braun or Brown. I don't know because it's spelled like Braun, but they.
Yeah, I think it's Braun. And he's a rookie, I believe. Yeah, I mean, we match up well, like Chris Armstead said in the chat here. We're big. They're best players, a big. So we've got two bigs that we can throw at them. Um, Again, broken record. God, I wish that we had McDaniels and Nas. Like we would be such a different team. But their biggest impacts historically have been Jokic and Murray, and we can defend bigs with our bigs. So we should, in theory, be able to handle Jokic as well as any team can. And we've got Edwards, and now this, the coming of age of Na.
Yeah.
They can handle, or at least slow down Murray. And then it's going to rely on, is Michael Porter Jr. going to be trouble? Is Gordon going to go off? But if you can take their two main guys and kind of neuter them or hamper them some, we've got a fighter's shot, and that's all we want.
Yeah, and I think something that we're going to need to do, and obviously, like you said, it's a make or miss league, but I really think that guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker are going to be key in the series. Particularly, how about the interesting move against the Thunder to start Na? Because that was, no one saw that coming out, and that kind of came out of nowhere, and it paid dividends. I think he had 12 points. He played some great defense. But I think it's going to be key for guys like him, Kyle Anderson, to particularly Austin Rivers, if he gets in, Jalen Noel. They're going to need to hit shots for sure because there's a reason the Nuggets are the number one seed, and that's because they have a great starting lineup, and they have the potential 3-time MVP.
Continuity. They've been together for a long time, so they know where each other's going to be. They've got, I mean, they're good. They're real good, that's how it is. Starting Alexander Walker was awesome. Not only, I mean, it's easy to say 2020 vision, but it was a real ballsy move. Like they said, it came from Connolly's, said, hey, maybe we should do this. And I thought it was great. I mean, that kind of move is the thing that throws the other team off. I'm sure they weren't expecting that. And I saw when he was guarding his cousin, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he shot something like 2 for 13 versus Na, and Na had 0 fouls. So, I mean, that type of defense, if he can replicate it, which, I mean, in theory, he should be able to, God, that's going to be huge.
And you're talking about fouls, and I think another big thing of the game against the Thunder was he got one early, but Karl Anthony Towns had 2 fouls against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is a minor miracle in a big game. And I think with all the complaining about him not coming back and maybe it's not working with Rudy, I think what we got and we're getting recently is a snapshot of how good Karl Anthony Towns actually is. Like he's a big shot guy. He can hit the 3. He can post up smaller guys. And I don't know. And sometimes the offense stalls when it gets to him, but he is someone who you can give the ball and just have him score points. So I've been really impressed with what he's been doing recently.
My favorite part of him since he's been back is he doesn't seem to be as whiny at all. Like I don't see him complaining to the refs. I don't see him laying on the ground. I don't see him, all that kind of campaigning for foul calls. All that stuff is gone, or at least has been gone. And what I really liked the most was during the game versus the OKC. Is he wasn't like, showing off or like, trying to be big in the moment, trying to be like superstar cat. He was just in the game. Like he made a shot, he got back on D. He, worked hard down post, got his layup, and then ran back down. Like it wasn't celebration. It wasn't look at me. It wasn't I'm on national television, honor me as a superstar type of cat, which is what he does sometimes. And I think he gets him out of his game. And it's not what we need. It's playoff time, man. It's big boy time. So, if he can keep that energy where he's just trying to help the team win, we've got to. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he's a multi-time All-Star for a reason. Like he can do it.
Yeah. Hold on. They're playing I was trying to look up Rudy Gobert's start, and they started playing a commercial in the back. I hate when you do that. When you go to ESPN.com and then like, oh, here's a State Farm commercial before you can watch the highlight. Awesome. I love the internet. Don't you just love the internet?
Got to get paid, baby.
Yeah, and that was annoying. But I was trying to bring up the nice behind the back Rudy Gobert. Did you see that? The behind the
He got fouled on it too.
I didn't get the best angle, but I saw most of it. Man, I think Rudy heard the boos in the first half, and then like watch this, because Rudy was basically just inside dominant. And honestly, I think if I was a 7-game series against the Thunder, I think we win in 5. Like, I don't know. I don't think they have anything that could stop us. If Rudy and Cat both bring it, like I don't. There's a reason they were a 10 seed.
There's so
and
many
I don't know how they
simple
beat the
things.
Pelicans.
Right. There's so many simple things that can happen with having those two giant players or two bigs. I wouldn't say call Cat giant, but he's pretty big. Like
he's a 7-footer.
Right. Him dumping it down to Rudy Gobert right at the cup a couple of times. Like, so Cat at the 3-point line. He also seems like the only guy that notices Rudy when he cuts to the hoop. And it might be some of that thing like he grew up, Cat grew up as a big, and he knows how annoying it is when you are standing under the hoop wide open and your guards are, trying to get theirs. You're like, no, I literally can just set it in the basket, toss me the ball. And we miss those all the time with Rudy. So Cat was finding them. And that big-to-big passing, I mean, it was taking candy from babies a lot of times. And that's not going to be the same with, Denver because of Jokic. But it could be if you pull Jokic out and then hit, Gobert. It's not like they have, Michael Porter Jr., I think, is going to be their starting power forward. And he's got some height, but he's pretty thin. So we should be able to bully ball them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you worry at all? And I know these are two good things or do you think this is squash? Remember at the beginning of the season, he wasn't playing great. And part of the blame that he put it on was the lane being too clogged up with 2 7-footers. Do you think we've worked out that issue, or do you think that is going to be an issue going forward?
To be honest, I don't think it was ever an issue. I think that was just kind of a real basic thing that everybody was yelling at the top of their lungs, like, how could this happen? But I mean, where is Karl Anthony Towns on offense 90% of the time?
On the perimeter, yeah.
At the 3-point line. Okay. And not only is he at the 3-point line, where is his defender? Right on him, because he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. So right then, you've got your 7-footer, basically the same place your point guard would be, and his defender's pulled out. And where is Rudy 90% of the time? On the perimeter, setting picks, setting screens, and rolling. So like Rudy's setting a pick for and Cat's point line. Nobody's down low, so I don't buy it. I don't think it's an issue. I think it was a real lazy, easy thing to complain about early. Same as the getting back in transition, 2 bigs. How are they going to do it? The other team has a big too, so it's not like we're playing just point guards that are track stars, and we've got 3 other guys that should get back. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it was all just kind of finding a reason to be mad at the trade. And I think it'll be. I think it's minor. I think it's minor at best.
Okay. Yeah, I see that too now, and we've seen it since Cat has come back. We've seen Ant go off for great games as well, like 30-point games. He's just maybe not doing it as consistently because he's got a little more help with him with Cat and more.
Less shots. I mean, yeah, he's not the guy that's like, well, I've got to put up 25 shots today. It's kind of the same thing as when everyone was like, or people have said, well, maybe we should have got Spider Mitchell instead of Gobert with the same package. And I don't like that either because, he needs 20 shots. So you can't just keep adding 20 guys that shoot 20 times and expect that to somehow work out. Like it takes a little bit of everybody's portion away. So I think we've got a pretty balanced team right now. It'd be amazing if we were healthy, but going forward, in theory, I think that we've got a really good thing going if we can keep it all together, or make some on the edges move. And with this experience, I mean, it's just keeps building our skill sets and building our professionalism, and it's going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's get to the game predictions. What do you got? I mean, Wolves or Denver, and how many games?
I mean, I would say probably Denver in 6 would probably be logical. They're the number 1 seed for a reason. But I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, I think it's very, very important that this first game, the Timberwolves almost need to win this first game, with the assumption that maybe Denver's sluggish, maybe they, aren't as sharp as we are, since we've been playing these play-ins. Like, we're battle tested, we're ready to go.
Yeah, it's been a week.
I think there's something to that. Like, they haven't had a week off since the All-Star break. So they may be healthy, but I'm not really worried about that. So I'll take game 1 for the Timberwolves, and then maybe I'll be able to have a little more educated guess when I see how everything pans out, because playoff basketball is a lot different.
For sure. And I think the way, and I'll ask you this as well, I think the way that the Wolves steal the series, if they're going to do it, is defense on Jokic and the cutters as well. Maybe cut off the passing lanes, because that's what Jokic is so good, is finding cutters to the basket. And if we can defend inside the paint well, and then we just got to hit shots as well. I think that's another key, and not necessarily just cat nat. I think if we can get some catch and shoot threes from Conley, like he's been doing, if we can do it from if we can get it from even Jalen Noel, although he's questionable for game 1, but through the series, I think we got a pretty good shot in that way. How do you think the Wolves can pull off the upset? If obviously you said Denver in 6, but how do they pull it off if they're going to do it?
I think Taurean Prince needs to go for almost 20 a game in our wins. He's going to have to hit shots, because we don't have much anymore. Like, we don't have much off the bench at all. So yeah, I think he's going to be vital. And when he's hot, man, he can be a killer. So I think that's very important.
Right.
And like you said, the passing lanes and that's why Finch doesn't double, or hadn't been doubling Jokic, is if you double him, it's like blitzing a quarterback, like Peyton Manning. Like, you don't blitz Peyton Manning, because he sees it coming. He knows where you're coming from, and his wide receivers know the route to go where the blitzer came from. So you don't blitz him. Mm-hmm. Same as Jokic. If you double him, everyone on their team, it's not like this is new that Jokic is going to try to pass. So everyone knows when to cut, where to cut from, and that's their system. So not doubling him kind of throws a wrench in their entire system, and they have to try to beat you in another way. And that's what you want. You just want to take away their main options and, see if they can beat you with their second and third option.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I personally, I think the Nuggets win. I'll go Nuggets in 7, because I don't know. I think we can put up more of a fight, and I think there's definitely a home court advantage for both teams. I do think for us to win, it's true, but for us to win the series, we're going to have to steal one in Denver, and I think it's possible. Like, we were with them several times this season, even in Denver. They just pulled it off at the end. I think we can hang really with anybody. I think the next round's going to be tough, because I think this Phoenix is going to win that, and I think the more and more they get Durant in there and implement their system with Durant, I think it's going to be important. But we do have a comment in the comments. Synodex, a watcher that we've seen a lot. 3-point shooting, non-TP, and on defense. Have to stay alert and be aware of the cuts and rebounds. And try to stay out of that. he mentioned something at the end that's big too. Foul trouble, particularly for Cat, I think is huge as well.
Well, we don't have, I mean, because without him, what are we going to throw out there? Nate Knight?
Mhm.
Like, no offense to Nate Knight, but geez, man, that's a huge downgrade.
Yeah.
You know, like that's basically a G leaguer coming in to play playoff minutes versus a 2.5 time MVP. Like, gee, I don't need that. Yeah, I mean, I think he nailed it. Rebound is another thing that we have to do. We can't get beat on the glass. We can't. Like, we're going to have to play perfect or really well. Perfect is a stretch, but we're going to have to play really well. And if we go 6 or 7, doesn't matter. I think the Western Conference needs to be on notice. Like without McDaniels and Nas, if we take the number 1 seed to 6 or 7, whew, I mean, that's something that's got to be scary going forward.
Right. Absolutely. So one thing, and I just wanted to get your take on this. This isn't related to the Timberwolves or Nuggets, but it's some that came up. The NBA fines Mark Cuban and the Mavericks $750,000 for tanking, which for Mark Cuban is pocket change for basically sitting players out when they had a chance at the playoffs in order to protect the pick. I have an opinion on it, but I want to hear yours first. Did the NBA do enough?
No chance. Yeah. If that was the Timberwolves, we would have had 3 first-round picks stripped of us. I mean, there's a reason that, you know, it was so small, and it's because they're a huge market. You know, they're a huge market. They've got a superstar. They don't want to punish them. It was a joke. It's a joke of a fine. If they want to do money, it should have been $50 million. I mean, something that hits them, because what is $75 or $750,000? I mean, it's nothing, and it doesn't prevent any other teams to do it. The point of punishment is to stop it from happening, and that won't stop anybody. Like if the, you know, Pelicans or the Hornets or whoever are in the process right on the edge of playoffs, and it's way more advantageous for them to miss, they'll do the same thing and gladly pay $750, because now that's a precedent. So I think that was a terrible move by the NBA and kind of embarrassing to be in reality.
Yeah, and the other part of it is the NBA has, or not the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks have been caught doing this twice now. Like they did this about 3 or 4 years ago, and the same thing. So I don't know. It's just going to keep happening if they don't. They should just taken away the pick is what they should have done.
Yeah, right.
Because
like, no first round pick.
Yeah, and who cares when they draft in the second round? Like really, like it's not that.
And guess what? That stops it right there.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, and the problem is now that you've done something, like you can't go back. Oh, and we're going to take a pick. Like you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
And when another team does it, you can't be like, well, it's 3 first round picks. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You gave them $750,000 and you're, yeah. So, yeah, this is what it is. And it's a slap on the wrist. And maybe it was almost like the NBA doesn't care. Like it's really not mad. And they're like, well, we got to do something.
Well,
it could be that.
Yeah.
But because they know teams tank. They know teams are resting players. Yeah, that was pretty obvious. Last game of the year, literally sit every starter who were healthy as far as anyone knows. Like, it was embarrassing.
My thing is, I think tanking is okay if you're out of the playoff picture. If you're not out of the playoff picture, then you got to play your guys. I don't care if you have the slimmest chances to get in the playoffs. You just got to play. And now, like you said, it makes a big mess for anyone else who tries to do it, and basically gives them a free card to do it, because what NBA owner isn't fine with getting rid of $750,000 for a first round draft pick that they're going to pay more than that anyway? So,
well, what did the Bucks just sell for? Like $4 billion or something? Yeah, I think 70. Yeah, I don't even know what the percentage of 750,000 is of 4 billion, but I'm guessing not very much.
Also on that note, like, so obviously, like Glenn Taylor, owner of the Timberwolves, that's one thing. But we're talking about Mark Cuban. We know how much Mark Cuban is worth. It's not like you're going after a small, like, grassroots franchise here. Right, like you're going after Shark Tank Mark Cuban, who's offering millions of dollars for people who like have like a toilet brush, like a toilet brush idea, like that. I mean, he throws around money, and even it's interesting when you watch Shark Tank, you can tell how many people want Mark, like just in general, because they know how much more money he's worth, and B, he's notable. Like he has connections, and he's an owner of one of the biggest franchises in the NBA. So I don't know. This doesn't do anything for me, and I don't know. Do you question in general? Just because we're going this direction, do you think that the commissioner of the NBA? Do you think Adam Silver? Do you think he's a good commissioner, or because I've heard that he's kind of a little too hands off in situations?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that maybe if you don't know what he's doing or don't hear about him, it's a sign of a good thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's bad. We'll see. I mean, did he do this play-in? I think the play-in is super successful. I think that was a genius move. I don't know about this whole middle of the season tournament that he's trying to do, but
I don't get
that's
that.
been successful worldwide in other sports. So I mean, it's not like it's hasn't had proven benefits.
So my question is like, is this tournament? Do you win like a playoff spot, or like how does?
I don't know. I think it's just money.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't really. To be honest, I haven't really looked into it too much. I figure once it comes closer to happening, we're going to be bombarded with news about it. So I'll just wait till the time comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So let's just talk about the playoff in general really quickly here. And obviously, now obviously some of the series have already started. I guess half of them have started. What series are you most excited about watching, and why is it the Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors?
I'm more of a give me an elimination game type guy. Like, because this first round I don't really care about, to be honest. I'm more interested in like seeing how individual players perform when it's elimination time. I think that's where you get to see what a guy is really made of. So more, I'll just probably watch or focus in on those types of games. I'm not really going to be following any series all that closely, to be honest.
Okay, I will say I watched most of the Golden State Kings game last night, and man, good for Sacramento. As a fan who went 15 years without a playoff berth, like that's huge. And we remember how big it was. Now, obviously, Chris was kind of out of the picture when Butler was, but remember how huge it was when the Wolves won Game 82 and they made the playoffs for the first time in years. That's what the Sacramento Kings are experiencing right now. And to win the first game at home against the Golden State Warriors and seeing De'Aaron Fox light the beam and everything. I mean, that's got to be huge for that city. Who now you could talk about like, oh, it's just basketball, but that's a basketball city right there. Like they don't have anything else. They have the University of Sacramento, and that's basically it.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for them. And one thing better than when we had Butler is they actually have a shot. Like we were kind of to be honest, I mean, I was tracking the Wolves and watching them. I was really, to fill in why I wasn't there, is I was really disappointed in the whole Tibbs hire and everything that was done around that. So I kind of stepped away and I was following actually other teams more than the Wolves at that time. But we didn't have a chance, like in my opinion then, and I think in most people's opinions, to win that series. No. And the Kings do. I mean, so not only it's not just like a hood ornament kind of like participation, you made the playoffs kind of trophy. They've got a legit shot to make some noise, so that's got to be really exciting for their franchise.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's going to be a fun playoffs. We're going to be covering it throughout. We're going to try to podcast as much as possible, so stay tuned for that. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
And this is the Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. And make sure to, if you're listening on Spotify, give us a 5-star review and let us know what you think about the podcast as well. And as always, go Wolves.